Almost tech glitch. Not quite. We're starting off with a bang. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Outside Insider on this cozy Wednesday evening. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone for tomorrow. I know I'm not going to see you tomorrow because the streams are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So my best wishes to you and your families. I know it's weird for a Brit to say Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, but the game's the game. Look, we've somehow adopted Black Friday over here, and I don't like it because it doesn't come with the mac and cheese Thanksgiving festivities. Now, we can't celebrate Thanksgiving because you're giving thanks for the lack of us. So I get it. But if there was a way for us to have that, if I can join your Thanksgiving one year, I'm in, is all I'm saying. I can put on my finest Delco accent, I can say Wooder Rice, and I can do all the rest of it if it means having some of that mac and cheese and turkey. So I hope you all have a thunderous Thanksgiving and enjoy it as much as you can. Zach, also British, won't be celebrating Thanksgiving. We'll give thanks to each other. Not in that way. Daniel, nice to see. Ron, what's up? Burbrick, Liam dying inside. I'm there like that going, Happy Thanksgiving. No, I'm buzzing. I wish we could have Thanksgiving. It's an amazing holiday. You get some brilliant football games usually where the Lions are on. The Lions are on every game in Thanksgiving. Like, the Lions will play the Packers at 12, they'll play the Raiders at 6, and they'll play the Chiefs at 3 in the morning. Like, they just play, they just go around the country every Thanksgiving game, I think, by this stage. But on to the actual topics of today's show. Obviously, we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the Eagles. They picked themselves up a fancy new edge rusher, in the way of Charles Harris yesterday, which I think was the best move they could make. Like, we kind of established on Monday that there wasn't a lot of wiggle room for them here to go out and attain a top name free agent because they're all on good teams. They can't trade for anyone. So it was just looking at practice squads. It was looking at potential free agents. It was, what can you get? Or do you move someone like Milton Williams outside? Do you then have a little trial run with Jalix Hunt and stuff like that? There wasn't a lot of optionality. So to go out and get someone like Charles Harris, who is still fairly young in his career, former first-round pick. He was actually in the same draft class as Derek Barnett. So that was a great draft class for edge rushers because that's panned out great for anyone. I mean, the Eagles, I'm pretty sure the Eagles were interested in him. I remember reading his name at the time and thinking that there was some sort of link there. To actually get him on the team as someone that's proven himself, like the fact he played for the Panthers and is leading the team in sacks, which admittedly isn't the easiest, isn't the hardest thing to do given their lack of depth, is something to account for. I know the Panthers were in more need of secondary help because they've just obviously stomached some tough injuries there. They've had a guy come back from injury at defensive tackle. So it just sort of made sense to move on from Charles Harris, which sucked for him because he was actually playing pretty well. Again, 3 sacks, a few quarterback hits. I think he had like 6 pressures so far in 6 starts, I want to say. So for a pinch role player, you're not going to get much better. Like, if you're on the open market, you're not getting much better than someone that has played this year and actually done well. Like, you can go to your Melvin Ingrams, you can go to your Frank Clarks of the world. Like, are any of them really at defensive end going to be more impactful than someone that has played this year for Carolina, got a few sacks, shown he's still got some gas in the tank, and that's all they need. Like, they just need someone to step into a pinch role, 10 to 20 snaps a game, while the rest of the guys take the rest of the heavier snap loads and go from there. So the Charles Harris move is pretty good. I don't mind that whatsoever. I think that's going to be a serviceable addition. I'm not expecting Cravon LeBlanc levels of wizardry out of the signing, but you never know. We've been surprised before. You could have had Thanksgiving if it wasn't for... Yeah, could have had that. Do you know the worst thing is, and I swear to God this is true, there is a chain of cafes and like restaurants here called Boston Tea Party. And I think that something about the sheer arrogance of that, of making a restaurant or a cafe chain with that name, given what happened, it just feels like really tone deaf of an English person to make that. I'm not going to make a comparison because you're going to end up in hot water, but you can understand what I mean. I'm not the biggest fan. And the food is shite and it's very overpriced and I'm not a fan of it, but that's okay. This isn't what this show's about. Cowboys versus Giants tomorrow is going to be absolutely hilarious. So hilarious, in fact, that it has disconnected my camera. Completely agree. Like, there is no better Thanksgiving feast than feasting on the ravages of what's left of 2 rival franchises that have become nothing. They've just disintegrated into dust, and we get to watch those remaining dust particles just float about for 60 minutes, which, look, if there's ever a way to spend Thanksgiving, watching the Giants and the Commanders, the Giants and the Cowboys just bump into themselves over a win that doesn't matter. I think that's good. That's good scheduling on the NFL's part. They had foresight there. They knew what was coming, and it was going to be a train wreck. And they thought, if we're going to have good games, we need to have a sloppy one. What better way than to put the Cowboys and the Giants against each other? So I'm all for it. But the big game, obviously, is this weekend when Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry butt horns in what can only be described as a John Cena and The Rock level WrestleMania clash. Like, the MVP award this year, as we know, is a very hotly contested race at the minute. And there are some names in there that are bound to pop up towards the end of the year because we know it's such a quarterback-driven award. However, favorites at the minute, you're looking at Saquon Barkley, you're looking at Derrick Henry, not just for Offensive Player of the Year, but for MVP. And now these two players are going to lock horns when the Eagles face the Ravens this Sunday in not only a game that's going to likely decide that, like whichever player comes out of that contest looking the better is going to not only have a statistical edge going into, the voting, but also just like a recency bias edge of, well, when they played, Saquon had 200 yards and Derrick Henry had 45. Like, that's going to matter. Like, that is going to count for something. So with that in mind, I think this is absolutely an imperative game for both players. And on top of that, you've got the playoff implications. The Ravens really need this win. Like, they have been sloppy as you like, I think, over the last month or so. They've let slide. They got lucky, I think, against the Chargers. Given what happened, I think, in that fourth quarter, that could have been... Look, if there was another quarter on the end of that, I don't think they'd have won that game because they really gave up the ghost, I think, in those final few moments there. The game itself was pretty solid, but if you go back and look at some of the Ravens' most recent fixtures, as I'm doing now because I've got them up on my screen, lost to the Steelers by 2, barely beat the Bengals. They blew out the Broncos, but fair. Lost to the Browns, beat the Bucks, barely beat the Commanders, barely beat the Bengals. It's been a topsy-turvy year for Baltimore, who've just really struggled to do anything consistently. The only thing I think they've done consistently is run the ball, which don't get me wrong, that's a great thing to do consistently. It's something that Eagles fans would have killed for 3 years ago. But in terms of the defense and the penalties and the inconsistencies, and especially through the air, I think they're more susceptible to error-prone passes and stuff like that than a lot of people give them credit for. It's easy to look at this Baltimore team, see the athletes at the skill positions and see Lamar Jackson and think, oh, they can run it, they can throw it. But the throwing's not been their main weapon. As much as they had 400 yards of offense against the Chargers, a lot of it was on the ground. And when you've got someone like Derrick Henry who just complements Lamar so well, you don't need to throw it that much. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing now. So yeah, I think in terms of this matchup where the Eagles offense hasn't particularly been pass heavy, Jalen Hurts has had a quieter season than I think a lot of us expected he would. And then you've got Lamar Jackson, who is still making his payday as a dual threat quarterback. He's got Derrick Henry, who's having a very good rebound year. I think a lot of people were wrongfully putting that Derrick Henry signing to Baltimore in the same box as Dalvin Cook when he left the Vikings. And that's just not the same scenario. It's, oh yeah, but Derrick Henry's old and he's worn down. And it's but he's also an Iron Man. He's a tough old cookie. I don't think he gets injured. Is it even possible for him to get injured anymore? So for what the signing was, it was great. And it's worked out really well for Baltimore. So this is going to be a real clash of titans, a test of will. For an Eagles run defense to bottle him up. I don't think they've faced a running back like him all year. And more importantly, for the Eagles pass defense to really make an impact. Again, this is coming at a time where you lose Bryce Huff, you lose Brandon Graham, and that kind of I'm not saying Bryce Huff gave a lot in run defense, but certainly BG did. When you lose that extra bit of contain, when you lose the extra bit of that sealing of the edge, it's going to impact you. You're going to give up a few rushes outside. So we'll see how it goes. But make no mistake, this is really going to be... To me, I would hedge a bet if I could, and there was a market for this. There probably is some dodgy crypto site where you can. But I would genuinely put money on whoever wins this game going out and winning the MVP award, because I just think that the bias of this game and like, well, when they played, Saquon got the better of him or Henry got the better of him, I think that's going to count for a lot. And also on top of that, like if the Eagles win this game, they extend their winning streak to 8. So if the Eagles beat the Ravens, they're on an 8-game winning streak. They've pretty much secured the NFC East. Saquon Barkley is going to be the top rusher in the league. He's 100-yard game away from breaking, as we said, Wilbert Montgomery's franchise record of 8 in a single season. So like all of that adds up. If they lose and that streak goes and the momentum and the narrative changes and then the Ravens come out and win that game, I do think you're going to see a shift from people kind of backing off Saquon. Now, from an unbiased perspective, I think Saquon is the unquestioned MVP. From a biased perspective, I think he is the unquestioned MVP. The only way, I think Rich Eisen said this best, is that the only way he loses this MVP award is if Josh Allen puts together the most miraculous, like 2-month stretch of his life, wills the Bills. I mean, the thing is that the Bills already got their thing secured. They ain't got to worry about anything. Like, who is in the Buffalo division that's actually going to scare them for the playoffs? Like, it's done. They haven't got to do anything. So I can't see Josh Allen turning into like, prime Peyton Manning for 10 minutes. I can't see Derrick Henry sustaining it, I think, right now. Like, I think the best bet for MVP, providing he stays healthy, just is Saquon, because he provides so much more. And you can look at the Baltimore offense and say, I think this year, as much as I'm criticizing the passing game, I think it's a far more well-constructed unit. I think there's more... What's what I'm saying is, like, you know what you're getting with Baltimore, like through the air and on the ground. Like, and if they don't pass them any yards, it's not because Lamar's played bad. It's because he's ran 3,000 and the passes he's made have been incredibly accurate. And I think whereas the Eagles offense has been stuttery at the best of times, there's been a lot of meat left on that bone, so much so that you would argue it's a second dinner. And you're going to be in a position now where, like, you're looking at who's the most valuable player. Saquon's been the one getting them out of holes all year long. Saquon Barkley has been the guy digging them out of the trenches and sending them to victory lane over and over and over again. Like, if you were to take Derrick Henry off the Ravens and you were to put Kenny Gainwell in there, would they still have the wins they do? Potentially. If you took Saquon out of the Eagles and it was Kenny Gainwell, would the Eagles be 9-2? No. I don't think they would. And that's where I think the MVP conversation comes down to. It's not necessarily who's got the most statistical value. I think it's who is genuinely, as the name says, the most valuable player. And Saquon is ridiculous in terms of like value to this offense. Like, you cannot put a number on it. I think next payday, just get him to sign what he wants and pay it. It doesn't matter if he wants $700 million for the next 6 months. Give him what he wants because he's deserved it, I think, and he's shown it in this season. So, like, in terms of a valuable player to this offense, Saquon far outweighs what Derrick Henry is doing to benefit Baltimore, because I think a lot of running backs could do that in Baltimore. You could take most starters in the NFL, put them in the Baltimore offense, and you would be successful. I don't think this year, if you did that in Philadelphia, you get the same result, because what is making Saquon so good is that this weird, inhuman blend of patience and vision and agility and also physicality, like to turn nothing into something, to sit behind that line and wait as everything's collapsing around you and then just put your foot on the floor and go. It's outstanding. So I think Saquon has the edge, but ultimately I think whoever wins this game is probably going to come out with a big boost, should we say, for sure. So let's have a look here at some of your comments. Duck is in. He's caught a stream. I know he's been a few away. He's back with us this evening. Nice to see you, my friend. I hope you have a lovely Thanksgiving tomorrow. The Ravens' weak point this season has been the defense through the air. But this is what is worrying me, because I thought this with the Rams. Like, I thought that if there was ever a game to attack through the air, it's the fact that the Rams, I think the Rams ranked 7th against the pass against the run, coming into this game. And their pass defense was like 13th. So it was like, well, look, if there's ever a game to dial back Barkley a bit and feed the offensive weapons through the air, then it's against the Rams. And instead, we saw, a 270-yard masterclass from Barkley, like a 300-yard game from scrimmage overall, with multiple touchdowns, 2 70-yard runs. And that was against the run defense that was much better than the pass defense that the Rams brought to the table. So Baltimore is always a tough defense, no matter how you play it. But I do agree. I think especially against the Chargers, like late in that game, they got very, very complacent. It was funny. My friend had bet the under, and watching that final Chargers drive come in with the relentless pass interferences brought me a sick and sadistic amount of joy, and also gutting because I could have got a free point out on that, but the game's the game. But yeah, I agree. I think the Baltimore pass defense hasn't been certainly what it was in recent years. Like they're lacking that. I think the star power on the outside, the boundaries are certainly exposable. But with that said, I mean, Philadelphia likely are coming into this matchup without Darius Slay. Now, I don't want to say that's an upgrade because that would be mean. But Slay out with concussion might knock some sense into it. No, I'm joking. Like, realistically, if this is the passing of the torch moment and we give it to Isaiah Rodgers and he can go out, and he's looked okay. I don't think he's looked incredible, but he's certainly held his own out there at times. Alongside Quinyon Mitchell, who again got some flack last week, and I didn't really get why, because I don't think he allowed much at all. The touchdown he did was attributed to Sidney Brown, I believe. So, it is what it is. But I think that with Slay down, that's going to maybe cause up some mismatches, or they're going to try and target that side. Like, if the team is already avoiding, or opposing teams are already avoiding targeting Quinyon Mitchell, now you've got a struggling CB2 that's down with a backup in. I can't see Quinyon getting much. So as much as the Eagles might have an advantage against Baltimore's secondary, I can kind of see the same happening with this one, because they're just going to lash out. Like, they know the linebackers are good. They know the safeties have been solid for the most part. They know Quinyon is borderline untargetable. What they need to do is just go all out on that right-hand side. And I'm not trying to give them the blueprints. If Mr. Harbour is watching this, I apologize. But yeah, this could be like one of the games of the year. And I didn't have it down on my schedule as being like this marquee matchup that I wanted to see. Like, obviously, it was always going to be two contenders playing with playoff implications, but there is something just with an extra bit of spice about this game now. I think knowing the weight it carries for Saquon, the weight it carries for Derrick Henry. My webcam has this blue light thing again shining, which is... Can you see that again? I don't know what that's coming through in my blue light. Something. Every month, something happens with this computer and this webcam. Bloody nightmare. What's up to AI Coconut Guy? Hello. He says, I'd rather have Saquon be a Super Bowl champ and a Super Bowl MVP than a league MVP. And do you know what? I agree with that. However, it would be cool to see like the first ever Eagles running back win an MVP award. And it'd be amazing to see the first Eagles MVP. Is it an Eagles player ever won MVP? Because I don't think they have. Apart from... someone's going to have to fact check me on that. Certainly not since I've been alive. I don't think. Like maybe like 70s, 80s, but I don't think there's been one. I don't think there has been one. I'm going to put chips on that. Someone let me know if I'm right or wrong. Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore. What are we going to say about Baltimore? Anyone else want to say Baltimore? Bottle of water in Baltimore? Unbelievable. There's a T in the word. Without Barkley, I think we lose at least one. I think we lose 3 or 4. I really think we lose 3 or 4 games. Like, if you were to go back, I think the Rams game was borderline. Like, the Eagles got a bit lucky, I think, with a second half breakout. I would say the Packers, I think they'd have probably lost. I think the Falcons would have stayed. That would have been an issue. The Commanders, probably. The Jaguars, probably. Like, there's too many games he has been the difference maker. And I'm not just talking, he scored a touchdown. I mean, like, without that instinct and the way he's playing, that team doesn't score that touchdown. That drive comes to an end. That third down, instead of a 6 yards per carry first down, becomes 4th and 12, And I think that's the key difference. So, like, maybe I'm being a bit overzealous with it, but I think I'm just putting a lot of stock into, what Barkley's bringing here. Barkley is why Hurts is playing so well. He's more relaxed, so he can play his game management style. I like that. I think that's really good. That's the thing. Like, Hurts hasn't exactly been the most consistent this year, but if we see him in a scenario where he's comfortable and he can lean on Barkley, like, that's all you want. And it's why this whole like quarterback argument winds me up to no end, because people will genuinely sit there and be like, "Oh my God, this quarterback is terrible. He has all the help in the world." And then they'll see a quarterback struggling and say, well, he's got no help. No wonder he's struggling. He's got no one to throw to. He's got no one to lean on in the run game. So you can't have it both ways, And I think that Jalen has done a good job of... he's not been greedy. And I think that's a really important thing. Like, if you go back to the Carson Wentz era, if you go back a bit before then, If you've got a dynamic running back, you can look at Darren Sproles. As the Darren Sproles and Carson Wentz synergy might be a really good example of that. You can look at some of the other running backs there, where like maybe they started well and then there's a little bit of friction. Like it happens because quarterbacks want the glory, running backs want the glory. I think Hurts has been very selfless this year, like really, really selfless, and that has been instrumental in keeping the team afloat, even when things aren't going tickety-boo and they're not flying as they should. He's still playing well enough to, turn bad things into good things. And what is this blue light on me? Am I being sniped? Are the FBI outside? Like, I don't understand, but it's winding me up. What day do you celebrate Thanksgiving in the United Kingdom? Yeah, we don't have that. I really wish we did. I was saying this earlier. Apologies if I'm repeating myself. Well, I really wish that the reason you had Thanksgiving wasn't because of me. I don't mean me specifically. I haven't done anything. But do you know what I mean? Like, I would, because again, we've adopted Black Friday, and now it's like Black Friday week or like Black Friday month, and it's just like deals everywhere, which is really annoying because the whole point of Black Friday is it's part of Thanksgiving, and we've just taken that bit and conveniently left out the bit where they're celebrating our demise, if you will. And it sucks. Like I'm not a fan. Will I be shopping for deals? Absolutely, but I'm not a fan of it. Like, in some lovely world, I'll be at your house, Sandman, having a lovely turkey and a big fat bowl of mac and cheese. Like, I will be there. Like I said, if I come to Philly, I want to be an honorary American for a day, and I will say water ice, and instead of water bottle, I will say water bottle, and other Philadelphia things, probably like John. I love John, my friend John. AJ had 108 yards. Ravens have been awful defending the pass this year. I think the Rams have been bad too. But honestly, we can run on anyone. I mean, that's what I took from the Rams game, was that even against the more established run defense, I think that Saquon still had his fair share and was able to make them look like absolute mincemeat. Jake from State Farm 808. What a celebrity is in the stream. Absolutely tremendous. Thanks for joining the stream, Jake. I think this is your first time here, or at least in the chat. So welcome. I hope you have a lovely Thanksgiving. Before J.K. Dobbins got hurt on Monday Night Football, he was running all over the Ravens defense and Ravens right. That's a good point, to be fair. That is a good point, because Dobbins ruined my fantasy matchup. I remember. The streets remember. I don't think there's a team the Eagles cannot have rushing success. And the thing is now, it's like, I think our idea of success has become somewhat distorted because of how good Saquon's been. Like, Saquon's averaging nearly 6 yards per carry. He has had so many 100-yard games this season where if he puts up 65 yards, it's going to be called like, oh, well, quiet day at the office for Saquon, only had 60 yards. Whereas, like, if any running back in the NFL had 60 yards, it'd be solid day. Solid, yeah, good sledding, tough sledding there. 4.8 yards per carry, 60 yards and a touchdown. Did what he had to do. But because Saquon's so good this year, anything below 100 yards is, well, they bottled him up a bit. And it's like, they didn't, did they? Like, so I think Saquon's going to be absolutely fine against Baltimore. Like, and especially with the pressure of that game and the magnitude of it, I think he's going to come alive in the lights. He's just one of those players that just really, really thrive under that sort of pressure. We've got some quibbles there about Saquon's totals. Reborn Soul Vibes says, I'm confident we will prepare well. Let's go. Love the energy. Look at that on the day before Thanksgiving. Fired right up. I agree. I completely agree. Rodgers only burnt twice against one of the up-and-coming wide receivers in the league. Then he got his rhythm. Then he got his rhythm to be shut him down. Fairs. I think I've read that completely wrong, so I apologize. But I see what you're saying. And that's it. I mean, Rodgers has kind of been in and out of that lineup now all year, depending on injuries. And obviously his start of the season got completely derailed. So there is an element there of him getting up to speed. And if there is ever a time, it's when Slay's out with concussion. You can kind of have this 1.5 game stretch where he can hop in, pick up some snaps, get fully acclimated and settle down. And yeah, I'm not concerned. I think he'll be all right. I would much rather see Isaiah Rodgers out there than Darius Slay. But is that personal bias? Potentially. Norm Van Brocklin run it. I apologize. You all saw the smiles Barkley was putting on Hurts' face. I know I need like a Taylor Swift love story edit on TikTok with those two just giving each other like cuddles and running around and celebrating. Like, I need the Taylor Swift, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts bromance. I don't know what you would call the bromance. Like, it hurts to be Saquon Harkley. I don't know. Someone's got a ship-in name for it. Let me know. I need the bromance edit in my For You page like yesterday. Really need that. I'm about to write the most bro love thing. Saquon's now. See, look, maybe he is. Maybe he is. Also, would explain again why he's the most valuable player and why he's so much more valuable to this team than I think Derrick Henry is to the Ravens. Saquon hurts so good. So, that sounds a bit saucy, Duck. I'll level with you. On a Wednesday evening, that sounds a little bit too OnlyFans out. We need to put some VAR on that. Let's hit the like button, please. Says Reborn Soul. Yeah, if you guys could do that. I only ever normally ask at the end. It's probably a bit of a mistake on my part because that's when you're all leaving. So if you are watching this and you could leave a like, that would be tremendous. Again, it's the best way to help the stream grow. And we're putting a lot of effort into it, like myself, Brian, all the other guys at PSN. Like, we're trying to bring you up. You've got a Flyers show tomorrow. You've got an Eagles video Friday. There's content everywhere at the minute on PSN, and we're keeping on pushing. So if you do like it and you want to be part of our little clan in the chat, we'd love to have you. And leaving a like certainly helps us out. Ron. What's that again? Ron is already there, though. As soon as the intro is on, straight away. Be like Ron. Okay? Got it? Be like Ron. See, look at Reborn. We should just hire Reborn as our official cheerleader, I think. A hype man. Bring him in. Give me a P. Give me an S. Saquon's 2 worst games, 18 for 47 yards against Browns and 14 for 66 against Dallas. Well, there you go. And dude, a Miles Sanders bad game would have been 18 carries for 7 yards. Oh, no, sorry. Are we 77 because he had one fluke touchdown that went 65? Do you know, there's levels to it. So an average day for Saquon is getting above 15 carries and around 50 to 60 yards. I don't know what more you could want. I think he's going to be absolutely fine against the Ravens. But the Battle of the Birds is certainly going to be some entertaining viewing. If I speak, I'm in big trouble. I can't be mentioning that sort of thing here on the stream. No, not with Miss LJ potentially watching. I can't put myself in the doghouse and make a comment like that. If I speak, I'm in big trouble, as Jose Mourinho once said. So I shall leave that to the judges. But yeah, love the energy tonight, guys, about the Eagles. Is there anything else you guys wanted to discuss on tonight's stream? I know we've discussed Barkley versus Henry. We've discussed the Eagles versus the Ravens matchup. Come on. All the greatest Brit and Eagles analysts. You want an old school revolution, you can hear it. Come on. That I want on a display and have it hung up in the Louvre. I'm putting that up there. That is a tremendous comment there from Doug. I needed to read that with the infliction that I kind of fell to because I was figuring out. But come on. The greatest British Eagles analyst. You want an old school revolution? Not that one. A new one that's better and doesn't see us get our asses whipped. You can have that here, right here on the channel. Browns are a Jim Shorts defense and he prioritizes stuff in the run. It's in Browns or Ravens? Oh, no, I see what you're saying about Browns. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, right, I was on Braid's comment. But let's have a look. Let's go to the old, where are we to? NFL rushing leaders. Let's get these stats up just so we can take a look at Saquon versus Derrick Henry. Because, he did have a 200-yard lead. And then I think Derrick Henry took it a bit personally against the Chargers and kind of went a bit nuclear. But this is the rushing leaders at the minute. Saquon Barkley, 1,392 through 11 games. He has got a game in hand over Derrick Henry. Let's not forget, he has got a game in hand over Derrick Henry. But 1,392 yards. Both of them are having unbelievable seasons. Absolutely unbelievable. 2 more carries, 1 less game, 70 more yards. I don't know what more you could want from that point. 10 touchdowns to 13. He's averaging 16 yards more per game. He's had less fumbles. I don't know what. It's rushing fumbles lost. And that is rushing first downs. So, Saquon's not a first down guy, though. He's not like a bowling ball like Derrick Henry. But for them to be that close, Saquon have played 1 less game, have 2 less carries. 2 more carries and have that many more yards it's just unreal. It is genuinely historic, what we're seeing here. For context, I want to see something. What was DeMarco Murray's 2014 season, which led the Eagles to pay him such an... All right, he's on pace for that. In 2014, DeMarco Murray had 392 carries for 1,845 yards with 13 scores. So if we're to average this out, He's averaging, how many yards is it per game? 126 per game, and there's 6 left. He should do it. He should. I mean, what is the most rushing yards of all time? It's going to be like CMC, isn't it? Hang on, single season rushing yards ever. 2,105 from Eric Dickerson. I don't think he's getting. Do you know what the scariest thing is? Right. Let's work this out. So 2,100 divided by, we'll do 5 because realistically he's not playing week 17. So 2,105 divided by, oh, sorry, I've messed up there. Divided by 5. Never mind. That would, no. So hang on. No, what I've done, I've made an error. I failed maths at school. So I had to go back when I was at college and retake it. So this is on my back. Right. So basically he needs, no, hang on. You're just watching me do really, really easy maths in real time. Was it 2,105? Don't even know anymore. Say it was 2,105. Take away 1,392. If you 713, divide that by 5, 142 yards per game. So he can do it. I apologize for my really poor maths there. But that is the most rushing yards of all time. And that's 142 yards per game. And if you look at Saquon Barkley's game log at the minute, 255, 146, 159, 176, like that makes up for the Dallas game. It makes up for the Cincy game. Like I say makes up for the Cincy game, like he didn't have 108 yards. But you telling me that that's not possible? That's not out of the realm of possibility that he could set the NFL record for the most rushing yards in a single season. Never say never, chat. Never say. I think it's on. Whether he'll do it, I mean, I think he's definitely going to eclipse 18, 1900, yards. If he can get to 2K, we could have a little CJ 2K, but SB 2K. The clothing line would be tremendous, wouldn't it? Would be tremendous. I'd be all in. Never do math in public. See, I didn't do that. I won't even explain what I did because it is going to be the most 3-year-old level mathematics you've ever seen. Been watching you for a few years now. Old name Renee Maxwell. FYI, I'm back regularly. Love to see that. Thank you so much for hanging out. Welcome back to the streams. I appreciate you. There is more videos and stuff on the way. I promise. It's just trying to figure out how to do them all. Right now, we've got so many streams where if I make a video, it's going to conflict with a stream or something. So we're trying to work out a way where it's the streams exist and the uploads are on the side, but we will get there. We will get there, but there's a lot more coming. So I appreciate you hanging out with us. Thank you so much for being part of the stream. Barkley will break the record. Oh, Adam is fired up today from Renee. Absolutely fired. She's going to run through a wall. Watch her on Thanksgiving. If she has a bit of turkey, bang. Dinner's ready, gone. Straight through like prime Saquon Barkley is going to absolutely sprint through to that dining area. I'm Asian and we're all about basic math. Parent literally beat you. Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, I was never good. It's really weird because I love spreadsheets and I love data and I love analytics and stuff. And especially with stocks and finding value and building EBITDA models and stuff. I love it. But actual maths where the computer doesn't do the calculation for me, gone. Really, really bad. So not my strong suit, which isn't good probably when you cover a sport that is so heavily inundated with mathematics. But what can you do? Beggars can't be choosers. We'll see if you've got any more comments from up here. So this season, we possibly see 2 running backs break 2,000 yards in one season. It's there. I mean, that is... And do you know what was weird as well? That there was... I think it was even this past off-season. That there was a really wider discussion about the running back position and how everyone's kind of deviated away from it. And I can't remember if we brought it up on stream or not. Or if I wrote an article on it. I'm genuinely not sure. And I'm not trying to be see, I told you. I'm not... Because I don't know if I did it or not. But there was a wide sentiment about how... the running back position is being undervalued, it's being dissipated and this sort of thing. And I figured it was a 3-point bubble. I think I did bring this up because it was around the Saquon Barkley signing. They're basically saying that it's the same with all things in life, that as soon as something goes extreme one way, that there is a reaction to go extremely the other. And if you want to go cultural references, I mean, you can look at, I hate to say it, someone like Andrew Tate, who is very easy to rile up people with a slightly more extreme view on things. And then you get this wave then pushing back from the other side who rapidly disagree with it. NBA is probably the better example with the 3-point bubble. You look at those first few years of those Warriors teams where Steph and Clay were lighting everyone up and no one could keep pace. And now, like, there's been games this year, where all people doing is shooting three. Like, it was, I can't forget, there was a Celtics game that was on TV. It might have been the Timberwolves. I can't remember. It was Timberwolves or Grizzlies. And, like, the entire last 2 to 3 minutes was just nothing but 3-pointers. Like, it was like watching a scrimmage or something. And I think we're seeing that with the NFL, where it's become so quarterback friendly and so pass happy and so pass catcher, where receivers are the stars. You know, as much as you've got Christian McCaffrey, he can do both. But you are looking at your AJ Browns of the world, your Tyreek Hills, your Justin Jeffersons. Like, those are the guys that secure you the pay dirt. They're the ones that are selling the merchandise. It's all about receivers and these big time plays. And I think that as the running backs have been devalued and you've seen big names, someone like Dalvin Cook dwindle, someone like, I'd say, Derrick Henry, not get his worth at least. He'd signed a great contract, but he didn't get what he was worth. I think what we've seen now is it's like this inverse thing. Because if you think about it logically, if all teams are going all out on the pass and it is all about speedy receivers and it's all about route running and it's all about big passes through the air, then defenses get smaller and lighter to account for that. So you've got more nickel corners on the field. You've got smaller, faster, twitchier linebackers. You've got safeties that aren't hitting as hard. You've got defensive linemen that can drop back into coverage because you've got to account for so much speed being on the offense. So when you've got a smaller defense, it's easy for a couple of forward-thinking franchises. Funnily enough, the Ozzie Newsome School of Scouting from Baltimore, and you've got, you know, Howie Roseman, who's become this genius of front-running things, who have gone, well, if the defenses are getting lighter and they're slimmer and they're not as heavy and they can't pack the same punch, maybe this is the time to stock up, get one of the best running backs in the league and just pound it and just run it into their mouth like endlessly over and over again. And I really think that's what's happened. And you're going to see it more. I think this offseason, you'll probably see some of the biggest running back extensions and the biggest running back trades and paydays and trades in the draft and stuff like that than we've seen in like the last 5-6 years. If this season was happening now, Miles Sanders would have got like an extra $5 million on top of what he got off that awful Carolina deal. Like, it's just yin and yang. It's ebb and flow. It's just back and forth. And in about 5 years, when defenses bolster back up again, the running backs will fade. They won't be as effective, and it'll be back to the receivers. And there's always going to be some kind of new, like, meta, if you will, like driving the way these teams are built. And Howie Roseman had this foresight to go out and acquire one of the best running backs in the league, put him behind one of the best offensive lines in the league, and just beat up on teams that aren't built to stop the run. They're built to stop the likes of, and this is by no means an insult, a Jahmyr Gibbs, a Kenny Gainwell, a Miles Sanders, not David Montgomery, the other one, I've forgotten his name now. There were two of them. Devin Singletary, that's the one. Like, those kind of backs, that they're not bullying, punishing physical running backs, but they're more agile backs that can do a bit of it. They're not built for Derrick Henry. They're not built for Saquon Barkley. If Dalvin Cook could move his knee, they weren't built for Dalvin Cook. Like, they're the running backs now. It is the some Bijan Robinson, perfect example. Like, these are the guys now that over the next 3, 4, 5 years are gonna be the stars of the show because of the way this NFL has moved, and it has become very much a meta-driven league, I think, at the minute. So, a great shout out to Howie Roseman for doing what he did and pulling that kind of foresight from somewhere and going all in with it and having the confidence to do it. And it has rewarded him absolutely massively. Let's get to some of your comments. I was watching one of the more mainstream sports broadcasters saying this was predictable to have the running back position. Yeah, I mean, hopefully that sort of explained it a bit now. But yeah, I think it's just that. And then, as I said, I mean, I wonder how it works the other way, though, with defenses, because they have to move in sync. Like, as one goes up, this one, it has to move like that. They can't just do this or no one's ever going to be successful. So it's very interesting. The running back stock is going up, should be, and Saquon's going to be the catalyst. Timestamp the comment. Barkley's running like his hair is on fire. Yeah, I tell you what, I don't think I've ever seen a running back in Eagles green run that angry. Like, but he makes it look so poetic, and that's the thing. He makes it look so easy and so fluid and so like free thinking, but it's so dirty and like punishing and vicious. Like I cannot say enough good words about Saquon. Like the jersey's not been ordered yet, but it might damn well have to be because it's getting too much, man. The guy's too good. Last time, says DJ, aka Mr. Sandman, the Eagles played the Ravens was 2020. Lamar Jackson was the leading passer and leading rusher for the Ravens. Carson Wentz was cooking. Oh God, Travis Fulgham. Why do you have to ruin the mood? Why have you got to do that? The Travis Fulgham era was such a strange time, wasn't it? Like for 4 weeks, all you saw on Twitter were these stats about how he is the best receiver in football through 4 weeks and how he's like the second coming of like, you know, Marvin Harrison or something. And then nothing. Like, I think it sucked when Alshon came back. I think that was when the issues started. Like as soon as Alshon Jeffrey came back, that momentum just went. But it sucks because he was good for like a week. You know, the Travis Fulgham, Carson Wentz era that randomly just went hard for no reason. They had no reason to be that good, but they were, you know, and that's just what happened. It was a Vic Fangio or more coordinated press, so they say to be predictable for the return of the running back position. Ah, I see. Well, look at them again, look, right in front of it. The Eagles are playing bully ball. The offense just beats up the defenses, and when they're tired in the second half, we run all over them. And that's the thing. And if they do then start to stop the run, look at who you've got outside. When you've got Devontae Smith, you've got A.J. Brown, you've got Dallas Goedert who can work over the middle, you've got Grant Cole-Kotera. Jahan Dotson is catching passes, like physical passes. He is running around, catching like not even dropping them, not even just like slowing down on routes anymore. Like he's playing football, which in itself I think is tremendous. So, you know, you've got weapons everywhere. Barkley has been this talented, but the Giants never invested in the offensive line. If he was playing, 100%. 100%, man. Like, and it absolutely sucks that he was. Like, I think it was kind of what I said in the last stream where there has to be some validation, I think, now, because he's gone through. Like, I can't lie, man. Like, if it was me, if I was Saquon Barkley and all you hear is how good you are and how good you can be and how there hasn't been a talent like you for a decade and you get drafted into New York and everything, like, despite your best efforts and a 1,300-yard season as a rookie, injuries and bad offensive lines and bad quarterback play and just bad offenses in general, you're going to lose doubt. Like, you're going to lose doubt in yourself potentially, and you're going to lose that confidence that, hey, do you know, maybe I'm not enough to lift this team out of poverty, which he wasn't. I don't think anyone would have been. But at the end of the day, like, you put him into a team like this and you could see it. I think like the first few weeks he's finding his feet and he's breaking off a few big runs. And I want to say after the bye, like a switch just flicked. And you've just seen a ramp up in what you see from Barkley. And I think what's helping him, and I mean this as the biggest insult to the Giants, is that when he's going well, when Barkley's heated up, they ride the hot hand. They stay with him. They don't deviate away from what's working. Like, if Barkley's not getting it going, they'll sprinkle in a few carries and they'll QB sneak and they'll pass it around. And it will look a bit ugly for a while. But they know he's going to heat up. Like, he's not just going to freeze and be able to be inefficient for the next, like, 60 minutes. You know he's going to get going. It's just a case of feeding him the ball, letting him get into a rhythm, find the opportunities, read the lines, understand where the threats are defensively in terms of where the pressure's going to come from, what holes are going to collapse first. And once he's got that, he's gone. And it is a huge credit to both Sirianni and Kellen Moore for keeping those guys well on track, like for keeping the Eagles intent on running the ball, not letting it get to a pass down situation. If Jalen's able to cause audibles, shout to him as well for not doing so and for continuing to run the rock and feed the ball, because I think that is working brilliantly right now. You know, too much about American football to be a Brit. Tell the truth, you're in Northeast Philly impersonating a British man. You got me. Yeah, you got me. Unfortunately so. I will be residing in Camden soon, although I've been told don't go there because I probably won't come back. But alas, I might be there soon. No, I mean, that is the best compliment I could get, if I'm honest with you. I appreciate you, Sam, man. You're a star. The reason there's a differential for catching up to changes in the game is because the NFL is dependent on what's being turned out in the NCAA. So NCAA plays fast defense, then that's what's produced. That's a good point. That is a good point. And I wonder if that's the same with running backs as well, because there was a period where they were all dual threat. I want to say like 4 or 5, like up till like Breece Hall. I want to say like maybe a couple classes before that, everything was just, oh, but he can pass. Oh, he can pass. He can catch and he can run and he's dual threat and he's dual threat. And I think Bijan was the first one to be, no, this guy's a downhill. And I'm talking, obviously you have like a million running back talents every year, but I'm talking like the first rounders. Like there haven't been any downhill, dominant, muscly, punch you in the mouth. James Cook, even he's a bit versatile. Do you know what I mean? Like it's very strange, isn't it, how things shift? I remember Travis Fulgham mossing Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. It was such a bizarre year. That whole season was just the weirdest year to be an Eagles fan, I think. Like, because it was just watching an actual car crash, but without any reason. It was just like, why is... And then like Greg Ward would just come through and save the season again in the way that he always did. Just bizarre. Alshon Jeffrey was a top tier wide receiver that finally made Howie see the light of a great receiver. That's a really good point. And I remember wanting him and Kyle Fuller from the Bears as a corner and like just get them both in. And we got one, not the other. But I think that's bang on, to be fair. And it's the same with running back. Like the Eagles kind of got scarred for a while at wide receiver because a lot of the projects that they had and the signings that they made weren't working. And then they tried to develop one with Jalen Reagor. Just imagine there is a scenario where like receivers on the Eagles over the last 5 years have been Travis Fulgham, Jalen Reagor, Alshon Jeffrey, Greg Ward. I love Greg, cult icon, but you know what I'm saying? And now you're at a point where it's Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. Just unbelievable. It's beautiful to have depth too. That's the one thing about a Super Bowl run that kept me hopeful. Yeah, I think, again, that is nail on the head. And I think we spoke about it all year, really. Across the board, there's been really impressive depth. Isaac was very quick to defend Fred Johnson the other day after I said that he was a little bit wobbly. I got proved very wrong, and that Fred Johnson was very good in relief of Jordan Mailata. The guard depth has been good. I think Becton's done great. You've obviously still got the need for Steen sat waiting to come in and use his, developmental upside, I guess. Defensive line, that's being tested now without BG and Huff. But even then, it's not the end of the world, I think they've got, especially now with Charles Harris, but they've got enough names there to make things happen and to move someone like Milton Williams out or whoever. Cornerback is absolutely loaded, which means safety certainly can be because they can move people around. Someone like Maddox can obviously play up top. We know that Cooper DeJean can play safety. Like, there's just a lot there. There is a lot of depth. And this is the sort of team where it is deep enough to make a Super Bowl run. You're absolutely right. How do I think, says Jay Fitz, nice to see you, my friend. I hope you have a lovely Thanksgiving as well. How do I think we get more production out of WR3? Number one, don't be Jahan Dotson would be great. Number two, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, you've got two ways. I think you either go schematically and you go, do we need production? Like, is it imperative now that we have receiving yards from the slot for whatever reason, be it to open up space, be it to just send a threat of a potential receiving target, or just to spread the ball around? Like, if you need option out and you need that, you've got to draw up some better routes. Because I think at the minute, the slot routes certainly feel limited. Like, they're not doing anything creative. We're used to seeing slot receivers kind of going on posts and sort of over the go routes over the middle. Then now, to me, it feels like they're doing a lot of what a Z receiver would do, almost, to a point where it's like a lot of curls, a lot of comebacks, almost like in a weird way, like just like a slimmer, faster tight end, where a lot of stuff over the middle, a lot of slants, which I get is what a slot receiver does. That's why they operate. But if you go back and look at someone like a Greg Ward, someone like a Jordan Matthews, you look at Cooper Kupp is the best example. You look at Deebo Samuel and how those guys are used, and it's night and day because they're being schemed to produce. And the Eagles, I don't think they feel the need to produce. They just need him there as an option. And should there come a time where they want to send him deep and launch a deep ball, then he's probably got his name on it. But I think it has to be a conscious decision. Like, I don't think it's a case of Dotson overly struggling. I think it's just he's not being asked to do an awful lot. I mean, I might be wrong in that, but I feel like he just isn't being asked to do an awful lot. So, I mean, let me know what you think on that one, because I'm not sure. But I just don't think he's been given complex enough routes and big enough opportunities where he's going to be the second read. Like the reads on the Eagles kind of go like, what, 1, 2, 3. Like it goes AJ Smitty and then whatever the fuck in the middle. There is very rarely a dump to Barkley or an over the top. There's no kind of RPO where they'll get it to Jahan Dotson because they've got Dallas Goedert. So they're not looking for that yardage over the middle, but we'll see. Dotson has it in him, but I think Hurts likes Covey more. I think that. I think the thing is Covey's been there longer. Like Dotson only came here at the fringe of the season from a divisional rival. You always wonder how that's going to fare. And the fact that he just never got going, whereas Covey is very much earned that through special teams. And I think there's definitely more of a respect from the offense for Covey because they've seen him grow. They've seen him marinate into a guy that was a great returner into now being a serviceable slot player. And there's going to be like a willingness to get him the ball and to want him to succeed more. Whereas Dotson, I don't think has that yet. He was just like late emergency pinch signing. So I think that could also be it. Don't use Craig Ward's name in vain. I have a signed Travis Fulgham jersey. No way. I think I put it in an eBay auction. I don't know. Look, I am a sicko when it comes to former Eagles, and I would happily buy a Sam Bradford one or a Crave LeBlanc. I don't think I've got it in me to get a Travis Fulgham jersey, but someone's going to want him, man. He would have been someone's golden boy for those 6 weeks. And it's a cool look. If I lived in Philly and I had people from Philly come into my house, and I'd be like, oh my God, is that Travis Fulgham? And it's like this ultimate, like, pulling of a deck card. Like, yeah, that's my ace. That's a signed Travis Fulgham jersey. You know, Travis. Only the streets, only the diehard Eagles fan were in the trenches when Travis Fulgham was catching passes. Like, I'd probably get it for that reason. But in England, I could wear a Patrick Mahomes jersey and someone would ask me, who is that? You know, like I'm not quite there yet. So I get away with wearing a Sam Bradford jersey in England because no one knows who it is. So I've just kept it for like 10 years. But you know what you do. I'll give you $1.50 for it. I will give you $2.50. Let's start a bidding war and we'll send the money to charity. D is the only place where depth is thin. It is. And I am intrigued to see how they handle it over the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you know, with Bryce Huff down. So the injury to BG sucks. Charles Harris is a strong addition given what they had to work with. And you've obviously, as we said, got Milton Williams who can flex outside. You've got someone like Nolan Smith. You've got Jalix Hunt. Like you do have options there. And you've got Vic Fangio, who is notably a crafty little devil when it comes to building these like unique pressure looks and using nickel corners and using linebackers. So I think they'll be all right. I would expect a few NASCAR packages. I would, you know, with some like, but well, we renamed them, didn't we? Instead of NASCAR packages, we're going to go with like just snowplow packages of just big, meaty men. We're talking Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, and Jordan Davis all lined up as the only three on that line, and then letting the speedsters back there just do their thing. Like, I think that's absolutely going to be a thing we see. Wilson is yeah, true. Johnny Wilson. Get him. I would take Johnny Wilson over Jahan Dotson. I think Johnny Wilson has shown a lot of upside as a rookie. I've really liked what I've seen from him. I know it's only been limited, but I have been very impressed. Harris, what do you think he can do for us? Will he just slot him in? I don't know. I think we can't go in expecting miracles. I don't think we can come in and expect like 6 sacks off the bat. But I think what gives me optimism over... Again, like if you compare this to the signing of, for instance, a Melvin Ingram, a Frank Clark, a Rasheem Green, like one of those guys that have maybe been out of the league for a year. They're a bit older. We're talking about someone that was a first round pick. I think he's 28, 29, and has actually played this season. And not only just played this season, but he had 3 sacks for his name for the Panthers. You can't ask for more. Like, bear in mind, you are scouring practice squads. You are a seagull, right? You just call them gulls in America. But you are a gull outside a shopping mall. What am I becoming? A gull outside a shopping mall with people just dropping their chips and their whatever and their burgers on the floor. And the gull is getting the scraps. And that is what this Eagles team has had to be to find a player to replace Brandon Graham. So the fact that they've been able to do that with someone that has played in this league as recently as Duck says there 2 weeks ago, has 3 sacks, led the Panthers in that category, had like 6 quarterback hits. I've not watched him play recently. I remember being a bit of a flop when he was in the same draft as Derek Barnett. But then again, if the grading scale is Derek Barnett, I think that's a very high scale in the first place. So it's the best you can get. You know, a wise man once said, beggars can't be choosers. And I think that's what the Eagles have been. But as someone that is a beggar, they have been given a Big Mac. You know, they have not just been gone, oh, here's $1, you know, that'll help. Oh, here's a bottle of water. Here's a water bottle. All right. They've been given a Big Mac and a milkshake and a McFlurry. And I think, given the scenario, I think that's pretty good. Do you call them seagulls? I thought you just called them goals. Someone told me you just called them goals, but fair enough. Darlene Emmanuel is in. Let's go, Birds. Absolutely love that. Look at the relentless energy we've got tonight. There's a lot of... I don't know what I've put in the stream water lately, but you guys are flying off that. I think it's the Saquon effect. Saquon runs through a brick wall. I think all of us want to run through a brick wall. And I think that's exactly what's happened. Everyone is just fired up for Sunday to see these Eagles take on the Ravens, prove that they are the better of the two birds, and let Derrick Henry eat his own words as he watches Saquon Barkley rumble on through one step closer to that MVP award. LJ, are you sure you don't live in South Philly? With that description, it makes me think you're at Walmart. No, maybe one day. Maybe one day. I will be out there next year, I promise. Like, I'm with me and my girlfriend are planning it. Like, we're coming out, not in that way. We're coming out next year at some point. I think we're trying to do like September so we can have like a 3-month spell, like start of December, get a little bit of snow in there. And that way we get all the sports then, don't we? Like, hopefully, or maybe October, so you can, fingers crossed, sneak some Phillies in there as well. But I don't know what the plans are going to be yet, but I would love to do, as I've said a million times, like a big tailgate or something. Get everyone together that's ever watched a PSN video. Give you all some free booze. Not like booze, but as in, you know, booze. I'll try and get Dylan involved, because I know he does like the most amazing like food whenever I see it on his Twitter, and we've done stuff with him before, so I'd love to get Dylan involved somehow. I always have a big party, and we'll have the true Boston Tea Party, but make it the Philly Tea Party, and there won't be any tea. It's tea, but the tea is vodka and beer, and I think that's a good caveat there. But until then, and until next time, guys, that has brought us to the end of the stream. So I appreciate you all hanging out, talking birds on this Wednesday evening. If you could do me one thing, if you could do me one favor, just enjoy your Thanksgiving. Just go and stuff your face with turkey, and mac and cheese is the one. All right. I am so envious of the mac and cheese in America. Ours is shit. Ours is absolutely awful. And I can't make it properly. I'm really bad at it. So I have to get these like ready meal stuff, and it's just grim. So just have a massive tweet me a picture of mac and cheese tomorrow. And I swear to God, it'll make my day. So enjoy your Thanksgiving, spend time with your families. I'm incredibly thankful for all of you. Once again, this is my 9th year covering the Eagles now. Like my 5th, like full time, and to still be doing this, to still be having these interactions and having these streams. We're pushing to bring the channel back, and really send these streams to the next level. And the fact that you guys come in, no matter what the day is, no matter who's hosting, and you chat sports with us, we appreciate it a lot. And we're so thankful for you to just be in our community and supporting what we do. So from me, a massive thank you for absolutely everything and being such a key part of PSN over all the years. And just go and enjoy your Thanksgiving and stuff your face and be with your family and enjoy the absolute train wreck that is going to be the Cowboys versus the Giants. I cannot wait to watch the mess unfold. But until next time, take care. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you soon.